Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. We talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm your host, Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. There's been big news happening all in college basketball the past few days in the transfer portal, and there's some big news coming to Bloomington, Indiana. Khalil Ware, a former 5-star top 10 recruit in the 2022 class who committed to Oregon and played for the Ducks this past season. He's entered the transfer portal, and he's going to the Indiana Hoosiers. This is a huge addition for Mike Woodson and Indiana in so many different ways. I'm going to go over everything that has to do with this recruitment and see how important Khalil Ware could be for the Indiana program overall next season and beyond. Now, Khalil Ware, he is a fantastic basketball player. He's from North Little Rock, Arkansas, and he was a former 5-star recruit and a top 10 player in the 2022 class with good reason. He's a 7-foot player who's 210 pounds. He's lanky, and he can shoot the three. Yes, he only shot 27% from the three-point line at Oregon in his freshman year, but he's a player that definitely has the capability to shoot threes. He's got a really nice fadeaway jumper. He did only shoot 45% from the field for the Oregon Ducks this past season, but if he could improve on that shooting percentage from the 2-point line and the 3-point line, he could be a really dangerous player. He shot 71% at the free throw line, so it definitely goes to show he has the potential to shoot the basketball at a pretty high level, but this is a big addition for Indiana in so many ways, because you look at Khalil Ware. Yes, he only averaged 6 points per game and 4 rebounds in his freshman year at the Oregon Ducks, but this is a guy that has so much talent, and a lot of people thought he was going to be a surefire first-round draft pick in this 2023 NBA draft, but he's not going pro because he did struggle in his freshman season at Oregon. He had some good games early on against UConn and Michigan State, putting up around 20 points in both of those games, but he really struggled down the stretch of the season for Oregon and really struggled in Pac-12 play, and his minutes reduced, and he didn't get to play that much. But now he's entering the transfer portal, and he's the highest recruit to step on campus at Bloomington, Indiana since Romeo Langford back in 2018. That is huge for Indiana. The Hoosiers are a blue blood program that's been falling on hard times for 2 decades, and they've been devoid of talent since the Tom Crean era and Romeo Langford. And Mike Woodson just got Jalen Hood-Schifino last year, but Khalil Ware could be a huge addition for Mike Woodson because he was able to bring in a guy that got a lot of looks from a lot of other programs. Khalil Ware canceled a visit to Alabama. Khalil Ware could have went to Arkansas, which is his home state, and I'm sure he got a lot of looks from North Carolina, Kentucky, and some of the other blue bloods as well. But Khalil Ware has decided to play for former NBA head coach Mike Woodson, and this is huge for Indiana because in the future, Indiana could land some more highly talented prospects because Mike Woodson is a former NBA coach. He's gotten Jalen Hood-Schifino and Trayce Jackson-Davis to the NBA draft. They're both going to be drafted this summer, and I think this is huge for Indiana overall. And Khalil Ware could be a guy that right now he's not projected to be drafted, but if Mike Woodson can improve Khalil Ware and make him a player that could become an NBA draft level player in 2024 and get him to the draft, more and more players are going to want to go to Indiana because Mike Woodson's getting players to where they want to go, the NBA. But how does Khalil Ware's addition help out Indiana for this next season and not just in the future? I think this is a huge addition because Indiana's lost program legend Trayce Jackson-Davis to the NBA, as I've already mentioned, and he averaged 20 points per game this past season. He was huge for Indiana, and the Hoosiers are also losing Race Thompson, who averaged 8 points per game, a program stalwart who played 6 seasons for the Hoosiers. Indiana has Malik Reneau back, and he's a really good player as well. Jalen Hood-Schifino brought Malik Reneau to Indiana from Montverde, and Malik Reneau is a really solid player. He has a 5-star pedigree, and I think he could take a sophomore leap for Indiana. He only averaged 6 points per game this past season as well. So Malik Reneau and Khalil Ware could play off of each other. Both Khalil Ware at 7 foot, Malik Reneau at 6'9". Both former 5-star recruits can come in next year for Indiana, make a sophomore leap. Indiana could have a vastly improved front court in a lot of areas that they weren't as good at this past season, because even though you're not going to be able to replace the scoring production of Trayce Jackson-Davis and Race Thompson, no matter how much Khalil Ware and Malik Reneau improve in year 2 for both players, I think that overall Malik Reneau and Khalil Ware could provide the versatility that Indiana's not had at the front court position in a long time. You look at Trayce Jackson-Davis, even Juwan Morgan before Trayce Jackson-Davis. Those were players that were really good in the post. They were undersized. Indiana has not had a 7-footer that could shoot the basketball since Cody Zeller, and even Cody Zeller didn't shoot that many threes when he was on campus in Indiana. So Khalil Ware could be a matchup problem for a lot of teams in the Big Ten because he could be a guy that could step out and shoot the three. Mike Woodson, when he was in the NBA coaching the Atlanta Hawks and the New York Knicks, he did a fantastic job coaching players like Josh Smith and Joe Johnson and Amari Stoudemire and so many other players that could shoot the basketball, Carmelo Anthony as well. I think that this is a really good sign for Indiana, getting Khalil Ware, a player that Mike Woodson is more used to than a a Trayce Jackson-Davis level big man that is in the post. He doesn't shoot threes. This could be really good for Indiana and Mike Woodson to be able to have that pairing that Mike Woodson's used to. If Khalil Ware can up his shooting percentage from 3 to around 34%, and he averages around 11, 12 points per game for the Hoosiers next season and become a first-round NBA draft pick, yeah, it'll be tough to lose Khalil Ware, but it could bode really well in the future for Indiana, who's looking at a lot of great recruits in the 2024 class, and Indiana could be able to get a really good big in that class. I think overall, Khalil Ware is just a monumental get for the program for the future, but just for the season as well, because Indiana really needed front court depth, and I think Khalil Ware and Malik Renew, and they also got Peyton Sparks from Ball State, could really help out the front court for the Hoosiers. And you look at Indiana in the backcourt, they do need some more help on the wing and guard positions, but now that you brought in a 5-star blue chip recruit in Khalil Ware, a former McDonald's All-American, a former Jordan Brand Classic player in Khalil Ware, I think that now other recruits in the transfer portal will really consider Indiana. Maybe Dalton Neck, maybe Chris Ledlam, some of these other players that are in the transfer portal right now that are looking at Indiana. Who knows whether they're going to commit to the Hoosiers or not. It's going to be really interesting to see. But Indiana could be a better basketball team next year, because while Trayce Jackson-Davis, as great as he was, and you also look at a player like Jalen Hood-Schifino, both were great players, and they did really good things for Indiana this past season. If Indiana has 4 or 5 players that are all averaging over 10 points per game, in the starting 5, they have Xavier Johnson, Malik Renew, Khalil Ware, and 2 transfer portal players at the 2 and 3 spot, all averaging around 10 or more points per game. Indiana could be just like Creighton was last year, where all of their starting 5 and Ron Nimhard, Arthur Kaluma, Ryan Kalkbrenner, and you also had Trey Alexander and Baylor Shireman all averaging over 10 points per game. Creighton went to the Elite 8 and could have easily went to the Final Four. That is a recipe for success for a basketball team, to be really balanced. Indiana's not been balanced in years because they've had Trayce Jackson-Davis, Juwan Morgan, Romeo Langford, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and not much else. I think that Indiana could be a much better team next year, but Khalil Ware, he's definitely going to have to improve. This is a huge addition for Indiana. The highest ranked prospect to play for the Hoosiers since Romeo Langford. I think his addition just shows you that Indiana is trending in the right direction. Mike Woodson, with his NBA background, is bringing in more and more blue chip recruits to Bloomington, Indiana, to play for the Hoosiers, to get Indiana back on the map. And if he's able to do really special things with Khalil Ware, he is a guy that a lot of people question his motor. A lot of people say he's a raw talent, and you have to get him to play well at all times, and sometimes he's not very focused. But if Mike Woodson can do that, he's going to have to work with his shooting stroke, work with him to be able to play good game in and game out and with teammates. Then I think Khalil Ware can definitely improve for Indiana. He is a wild card, but if Indiana is able to use the name of Khalil Ware, a former 5-star recruit, to be able to bring in some more transfers in this offseason for Indiana, they could be a better team next year overall, but we're just going to have to wait and see. But Khalil Ware is a massive addition for Indiana overall as a program in the future and for this next season. Mike Woodson did a fantastic job so far in the portal getting Peyton Sparks and Khalil Ware. I think Khalil Ware is going to be a great player for Indiana if he can improve. Overall, he's not going to be Trayce Jackson-Davis. He's not going to be able to put up the 20 points per game that he did, but Khalil Ware, if he could just be a solid 12 points per game scorer, do really good things in the front court, be a good shot blocker, rebounder, and he could shoot a 3 or 2 every now and then, he could be a very dangerous player. This is a huge addition for Indiana. Again, it will be interesting to see what else Indiana does in this offseason, but overall, good vibes are happening for Indiana, and Khalil Ware is a massive addition for Indiana to potentially help the Hoosiers be a really solid team that can get back to the NCAA tournament and maybe do special things in March Madness next season. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Comment down below what you think about Khalil Ware transferring from Oregon to Indiana and what you think this means for Indiana in the future. If good things can keep going the Hoosiers' way and they can become a better program in the future under Mike Woodson. Follow me on Twitter as well. Link is in the description, and I will see you next time.